Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashadakaya Chakshurunditam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadadi Swapadantикam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalitam Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय शिल प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णा प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So, thank you once again for taking out your precious time, and very pleased, very encouraged to see some of the devotees coming back after a little bit of break. It is very difficult. It is not easy. It is very easy to go, but very difficult to come back. And I truly appreciate your efforts, knowing the importance you have come back and giving your valuable association. So that is what makes this online Gita course special. Without you, there is nothing, isn't it? So let us move ahead with our discussion. So quickly, let us try to recollect what are the important points we discussed from yesterday's session, and then we can take it forward. So who is to add some of the key points we discussed yesterday?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, sorry to disturb you. Can you please make me post so that recording will be saved in my folder also in case of any needed.
Who is this? Is this Kalpana Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, I got disconnected.
Okay. Okay, Mataji, I'll do that. So already this class is being recorded in my system. I'll make you post, but I'm not able to see you in the participant list. Yeah, meanwhile, somebody can please start with some of the key points from yesterday. Who is to go? Praveen MS Prabhuji, you want to add any key point you learned yesterday from yesterday's class?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just traveling actually. The lot of noise is there. Just give me some time, Prabhu. I'll just.
Okay, Prabhu.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, no issues. So any other devotees? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Somehow I'm not able to see the names. I don't know. Yes, this is not being recorded. who are all there in our yesterday's class? Can you just raise the hand? Jaideep Prabhuji. I'm not sure what is your situation there. Jyoti Mataji, were you there yesterday?
Yes, Prabhuji, I was there. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so let us start, Mataji. Any one or two points which you can recollect?
Prabhuji, I cannot go very precise, but we
No
were
problem.
talking about
Whatever, anything is fine.
three
Mataji.
modes of material nature
Yes,
and how to get above all three modes, like pure sat, means, above this sattva mode also.
yes. So how can we rise above Satguna?
In engaging ourselves more into Krishna service,
Yes,
our senses, our all activity towards the service of Lord.
yes,
This is the
yes.
only way to get above all three modes.
Correct, Mataji.
Hare
So engaging in services in Satguna can take you to higher planetary systems, whereas when you serve the Supreme Lord, you can go to Goloka. This is what we learned yesterday. So chapter 15, we started with discussing about the material tree as well as spiritual tree, and we understood the material world is the perverted reflection of the spiritual tree. And the root of this perverted reflection of this banyan tree, starting from Brahmaloka and going down to the darkest region of the hell. And we, from the top, try to engage in sense enjoying activities, fruitive activities, and then we glide down to the darkest region. This is what we learned. And also we learned how we can break free from this. So that is what the section B, transmigration, we discussed that being equipoised, being rising above the dualities of our life, engaging in devotional service, chanting the holy names, how we can rise above. And one of the key takeaway from yesterday's chapter is for us to what we learned yesterday is that we started with the summary of Bhagavad Gita. In few sloka we discussed that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. Second important lesson was we are the part and parcel. Mamai Vamsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So we learned that we are the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and our purpose is to engage in service. Right? And then finally what Krishna says that surrender unto me. Sarva dharmam parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarva papebhyo moksha swami mashuchaha. So, and then we learned who can surrender. Only a sinless person can surrender. And are we sinless? Can we surrender? Without surrendering, can we go back to Krishna? No, right? So how do we purify our sins?
Only by chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So what Brahma says to Narada Muni is, Iti Shodaka Namnam Kali Kalmashanashanam Nata Parataropaya Sarva Vedeshu Drishtate. So all our sinful reactions can be Kali Kalmasha, can be purified only by this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this is what we learned yesterday. Yeah, we will now move further. Hope my voice is properly coming through. I'm still having that cough and I'm recovering from that. So I don't know whether I'm audible there. If I have to raise my voice, please let me know. Coming to the summary, section C, verse 15.12 to 15.15, we discuss the position of Krishna as the maintainer of everything. When do we surrender to Krishna? When we realize that Krishna is the supreme master, supreme maintainer, supreme enjoyer, supreme friend, and my position being the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. So we need to know. So that is the knowledge we are getting through this section. And all these things, what I said now, is summarized in a beautiful sloka 5.29. I keep re-quoting this. Bhoktaram yagnatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhurdam sarvabhutanam yatva mam shantim rachati. All our material anxieties, stresses we are going through, once, if we can understand this one sloka, Prabhupada says this is the peace formula from all our material entanglements. This sloka clearly says that I am the supreme personality of Godhead. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Suhurdam Sarva Bhutanam. Suhurdam, Krishna is the dear friend of all the living entities, including demigods. So knowing this, one attains Shantim Rachati. One attains peace. Now let us further move on with the shloka for the day and see what Krishna has to offer us through these chapters. So somebody can take the shloka recitation for the day. First shloka. So Rashmika Mataji, Kalpana Mataji, and all those devotees who are comfortable, please take it up.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
यदादित्यगतं तेजः जगद्भासयते किलम् यच्चन्द्रमसि यच्छाग्नौ तत्तेजो विद्धि मामकम्. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So in similar lines, we already learned a shloka from chapter 7, shloka 4. It says, Bhumir apo nalo vayu kam mano buddhi evacha ahankara itiyam me bhinnasha prakritir astada. It says, the five gross element, earth, water, fire, air and ether, as well as the three subtle, mind, intelligence, false ego, all together 8 are my separated material energies. Krishna is saying we are all part of Krishna. We are all his separated material energies. The atheistic people or the unintelligent people or even a grateful people never accept the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. He never realize also that everything is coming from Krishna. And from this shloka we realize that when we see the splendors of sun, moon, fire, which is very important for all our daily life, our lifeline, our life is dependent on this. So we need to realize that these are all coming from the Supreme Lord Krishna, and we need to be very grateful about it. And that realization is the beginning of Krishna consciousness. And that realization, that gratitude will help us in our spiritual self-realization and understanding our constitutional position. Many times when we say we are the servants of the Supreme Lord, the people who are not into Krishna consciousness, they think, am I a servant? That is not the way we need to see. I was just explaining this example to one of my colleagues that I serve my kids, I serve my wife, I serve my parents, I serve my friends, society, isn't it? There is a loving relationship. Through that we are serving. Different rasas we have already discussed in our previous chapter. So in that loving relationship, we continue to serve the Supreme Lord. And Dasya is also one of the rasa through which we serve as an actual servants. So what we need to understand, the sun, moon, fire, all this light, energy, everything is coming by the effulgence of the Supreme Lord. Without his mercy, there cannot be sun. Without the mercy of Krishna, there cannot be moon. And without mercy of Lord, there cannot be fire. And without all these things, can we even imagine? Can we even spend a single day? So these are some of the thoughts to provoke within us to rise in our Krishna consciousness. Everything we see, we need to see as a mercy of the Supreme Lord. Next sloka. Hare Krishna.
गामाविश्य च भूतानि धारयाम्यहमोजसा पुष्णामि चौषधी सर्वाः सोमो भूत्वा रसात्मकः. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So it is now understood that all the planets are floating in this space. It is controlled by the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord enters into every atoms, every living entities as Shirodakashai Vishnu, like as a Paramatma, he enters and exhibiting his all pervasive nature of the Supreme Lord. And how these entire universes are held perfectly in right place is, Prabhupada gives a beautiful analogy. When someone holds a handful of dust, the dust is securely placed inside his fist, isn't it? But if one throws it in the air, everything will fall down into different places. Similarly, the entire planet which is floating in the air is being controlled by the Supreme Lord. And one more important thing, all our eatables, the vegetables what we are eating, all the nourishments for this vegetable is coming from the energies coming out of moon, is what we understand here. And human society is today comfortably living with the by enjoying the food, and that is supplied by the Supreme Lord. Otherwise mankind would not have survived. Rasatmaka is significant in this word, that all the food becomes palatable due to the influence of moon, which again is coming from the effulgence of the Supreme Lord. So this is what we learn. Let us move to next sloka.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashritah Pranapanasama Pachamanyam Chadurvitham. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, ma'am.
I am the fire of digestion in every living body, and I am the air of life, outgoing and incoming, by which I digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So here the significance of fire is being told. As per Ayurveda also, we understand that there is fire inside our stomach, which will help to digest the food. If this fire is not there inside our stomach, then the food is not digested. We don't feel hungry. Can you imagine a day if you eat food and it is not getting digested, how comfortable you feel within your stomach, isn't it? And we learn here that that fire is also the representative of the Supreme Lord. Previously we discussed The water we drink, the taste of the water is Supreme Lord. The food we digest, the fire within our body is the Supreme Lord. The fire which is used to cook the food is Supreme Lord. It is also confirmed in Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 5.9.1, which says, Ayam Agnir Vivasvanaro Yoyam Atha Purushe Yenedam Annam Pachyate, which means the Supreme Lord or Brahman is situated in the form of fire within the stomach and is digesting all kind of foodstuffs. And then here Krishna as the maintainer of the world is the maintainer. This is the philosophy we are trying to understand. The four kind of foodstuff which can be swallowed, chewed, licked or sucked. All this food is being digested because of the fire within us. Unless the Supreme Lord help us in digestion, there is no possibility of eating or there is no possibility of life itself. Let us move to the next sloka. This again is one of my favorite sloka.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mata.
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तस्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृत् वेदविद् एव चाहम्.
Thank you, Mataji. Somebody can read the translation, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, in this, one thing which is this sloka makes it clear is Krishna is residing within our heart. Krishna is seeing everything. Krishna can be a witness or a mentor. The free will is within us. If we pray to Krishna to take charge of my life and let your plans prevail in my life, whatever happens, then we start taking it as a mercy of the Supreme Lord. Then no material distresses can disturb us in our progress in Krishna consciousness. But what is happening? What is happening? This sloka says that Mata Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. Krishna gives the remembrance, knowledge, and intelligence to progress in our Krishna consciousness. Whereas as a living entity, we forget. But what has happened in our previous life? Forget about previous life. 2 years back on this day, what has happened we don't remember, isn't it? But Krishna gives us that remembrance and help us to continue to progress. That is how we all have come some or the other way into this Krishna consciousness movement and taking out time to associate with devotees and learn the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. And second important thing, I always used to feel, first of all, yesterday also we discussed there is a misconception that there is only one life. Live to the fullest, enjoy, party hard. Here we learn that we take rebirth and Krishna gives us the remembrance to continue further. This also answers my question, which even before coming into Krishna consciousness, always I had a thing that we are all suffering because of our karmic reactions. But why a child born, just born baby who has no other thing, has to go through this differentiation that one baby is taking birth in a very affluent families. At the same time, there are thousands of babies on the street taking birth on roads for beggars or somebody are handicapped, have lot of medical issues from the birth. This answers that all our karma, the way we lived our life, is going to carry forward to our next life. Many of my friends have said, nobody has seen tomorrow. Nobody has seen the next life. Why should I compromise my enjoyment today trying to get something in next life? It is purely ignorance. And whatever comfortable life what we have got by the mercy of the Supreme Lord is because of our past life actions. So it is very important for us to engage in devotional service and go back to Krishna. If not in this lifetime itself, at least we will get a platform to continue our bhakti in our next life and then progress further. I see one name BSM. Can I know what is the name of the devotee? Hare Krishna. Who is BSM? We take attendance. If you can rename, it will be very helpful. I don't even know it is Mataji or Prabhuji. Okay. And as we progress with this very important shloka, Vedescha sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krit veda vid eva chaham. Everything from Vedas, what you need to know, yesterday we discussed, is self-realization as well as about the Supreme Lord, our constitutional position of the Supreme Lord and constitutional position of me, right? And once we know this constitutional position, then we realize that Krishna is all merciful and worshipable Lord. Anta pravista sashta jnanam. It is living entity forgets everything once he leave his body, but the Lord gives him the intelligence, remembrance, so that he can continue in his next life. And in this verse, the purpose of Vedas, understanding of the Vedas and the goal of Vedas are clearly defined. What is that? The three things: Sambandha Jnana, Abhideya, and Prayojana. These three things is clearly defined. What is Sambandha Jnana? What our constitutional position, Krishna being the Supreme Lord, I am his eternal servant and my purpose is to engage. Abhideya is engaging in devotional service. And what is the Prayojana is Krishna Prema. Now we are moving into the last section. This again, there are three important shloka which is known as three shloki Bhagavad Gita, which again it said as summarizing the Vedas and the Vedanta kind of living entities. The two different kind of living entities is discussed here. So somebody can take up.
हरे कृष्ण द्वाविमौ पुरुषौ लोके क्षराक्षाश्चर एव च क्षरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थोऽक्षर उच्यते हरे कृष्ण
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every entity is called infallible. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So here we are getting to know two classes of living entities. One is fallible as well as infallible. One is conditioned, the other is liberated. The living entity who are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord is always liberated, but when he comes in contact with the material nature, he becomes conditioned. And such conditioned living entity is known as fallible. And once he is in this material world, he bound to undergo 6 different changes. His body bound to undergo 6 different changes. The birth, growth, he stays in that position for some time, and then the reproduction happens, and gradually the dwindling phase, and then completely he vanishes. But once you are in the spiritual world, then there is no such change. There is no old age, no birth, no disease. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. We are rising above all these 4 kleshas of this material world. Next sloka.
आत्मसम्भावितः स्तब्धा धनमानमदान्वितः यजन्ते नाम यज्ञस्ते दम्भेनाविधिपूर्वकम्. Hare Krishna.
Somebody who has not participated it can take up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Lord Himself, who has entered into these worlds and is maintaining them. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes. This again is a very important sloka, part of 3 shloki, which says, previous sloka we understood there are 2 kind of living entity. One is fallible and infallible. And through this sloka, we understand there is something above these 2 living entity, that is the Supreme Lord. The Upanishad, there is a verse which says, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. That says, amongst the living entity, both conditioned and liberated, there is Supreme Living Personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who maintains both of them. And one who properly knows about this knowledge is free from all kind of ignorance, is what it is told. And Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is residing in everyone's heart. And a wise man who has surrendered, who has taken up this knowledge under the bona fide spiritual master, understand, and he is eligible to attain perfect peace, not others, is what Prabhupada says in the purport. Next sloka. Somebody can take up the sloka. Meanwhile, just a humble reminder for everybody to mark your attendance. It is already maybe posted in the...
Yasmaksharammatito hamaksharadapi chottamah atosmi loke vede cha prathitah purushottamah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as the Supreme Person. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, from this sloka, what we are trying to understand is, it is incorrect to think we are all same level as the Supreme Lord. Like a Mayavadi philosophy, they say we will merge into the Lord and we will also become God. So it is incorrect. All the living entities, including the topmost demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, are under the influence of material nature. And Krishna is above the material nature. One of the Nama Parada is also, what are the 10 Nama Paradas? The second Nama Parada is to consider names of demigod like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma to be equal or independent of Lord Vishnu. Here, the word Purushottama, Uttama is very significant. No one can surpass the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is what the Brahma himself says in Brahma Samhita 5.1. says Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. The Lord Shiva is known as the topmost devotee of the Supreme Lord, Vaishnavana Yata Shambho. Only by the mercy of such great devotees we get Krishna Bhakti. Most of us were worshipping some or the other demigods. Only by their blessings we get something higher in our life. That is Krishna Bhakti. And the summary of the three shloka, what we learned is there are two kind of living entities, the fallible as well as the infallible. The fallible is the conditioned soul, the infallible is the liberated soul. And the second sloka, we understood that the supreme soul, the master of both, is the maintainer of both fallible as well as infallible living entities. And here, third sloka, it is said that Krishna is declaring, I am the supreme soul, celebrated both in this world as well as in the Vedas as the supreme person. Next sloka. Hare Krishna. Somebody can take up.
Hare Krishna. Yo mamevamasammudho janadi purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarvabhavena bharata. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is to be understood as the knower of everything, and he therefore engages himself in full devotional service, O son of Bharata. Hare Krishna.
So, there are a lot of philosophical speculations about the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord, who is top. This verse clearly clarifies the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord and all other living entities. And how do we learn, how do we know this knowledge? The best way, it is said, is through Shabda Purana. The Vedic knowledge is called Shruti, learning from the oral reception, that is Shabda Purana. And what is important is to listen from the right bona fide sources. That is the significance of Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. It is coming through disciplic succession right from Krishna through this Guru Shishya Parampara passing on. Without any of our mental speculation, we are just passing on what we heard. The word bhajati is significant here, which says if a person is engaged in Krishna consciousness and is in full Krishna consciousness and engaged in devotional service of the Supreme Lord, it is known as such a person is already aware of the entire Vedic knowledge. And when such person is taking up Krishna consciousness, he has surpassed all Vedic rituals and he has risen above all the ritualistic activities. Generally, all such Vedic rituals, it takes hundreds and hundreds of years, many, many lifetimes. By taking to Krishna consciousness, to devotional services, chanting of the holy name, we are straight away taking the elevator, express elevator to back to Godhead. So this is the last shloka for the day. Somebody who has not participated can take it up. Else who have been reciting can proceed further. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, ma'am.
Iti guhyatamam shastram इदमुक्तं मया नघः एतत् भूत्वा बुद्धिमान् स्यात् कृतकृतस्य च भारत. हरे कृष्ण.
This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. To summarize this chapter, this verse clearly explains one should know the constitutional position of us. When I say as the Supreme Lord as well as us. And knowing this, we have to engage in devotional service by taking the shelter of Guru Parampara, association of devotees, and make our life successful. This is the purpose of our life. The Lord is said to be the sun, and ignorance is called the darkness. Maya is darkness, Lord is sun. When we are serving the Supreme Lord, we are in light. And then there is no question of darkness. Knowing this, everybody should take up Krishna consciousness. Everybody should take devotional service. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Karo janma sartha karo paropakara. Karo paropakar. It says, first we need to be serious about our sadhana and try to preach this knowledge to as many conditioned souls as possible. That is the purpose of Krishna consciousness movement. And in this shloka, it is very important word thing is anaga. It says Arjuna is addressed as anaga. It says, "O sinless one," which what does it mean? Until and unless you are completely sinless, free from all the sinful reactions, you can never understand Krishna. Are we in that position now? That is where yesterday also we discussed the mercy of Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give us chanting of holy name. Through chanting of holy name and following four regulative principles, naturally all the sinful reactions get burned off, and whatever is necessary to understand the Supreme Lord manifest within our heart. And then, as said, the pure devotional service is so pure and potent that once one engaged in devotional service, automatically he surpasses all his sinful propensities. And the most important is one should overcome this weakness within our heart. That is the first place where we fall down. The desire comes within our heart to enjoying propensity. And then the second weakness is we act. So when we are chanting the holy name, this purification happens within our heart. So this chapter, the 20 sloka, the first 5 sloka described about the material world as a inverted banyan tree, and we saw how we are all entangled in this banyan tree which has no ends and continue to fall down and down and down, and only by the knowledge and detachment, the sword of detachment. What is the sword of detachment? What should I detach? Our material attachments, our sense enjoying propensities have to be detached for us to break free from this material entanglement and go to the spiritual world. So with this, I end my session for the day. Thank you very much for your patient listening. So any quick questions from this session we can discuss, and any key points you liked, you can share for the benefit of all, and then we can end our session today.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Prabhuji, may I please request to explain the inverted banyan tree once again? I'm so confused, Prabhuji. I'm not able to understand anything that Dhanyanshi, you just mentioned a sentence about it. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, what we need to understand. See, basically, this, let us not try to get into too technical. What we are trying to understand is how we are entangled in this material world. If I try to open this presentation to show you the inverted banyan tree image. Hope this is visible. Yes, Mataji,
Yes,
is it
Prabhuji.
visible?
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So what we need to understand is there is a spiritual world, there is a material world, and we are entangled in this material world. And what differentiate between the spiritual banyan tree and the perverted reflection of the spiritual tree is our desire to serve the Lord or Maya. And the inverted banyan tree, the topmost, if you see this image, the topmost root emanating from the Brahma Loka, and all the top layers are all with all the demigods, and we continue to engage in fruitive activities and sense enjoying activities, and we continue to slide down, and somewhere in the middle we see human life, and further down we see animal life, and that way it goes down to darkest region. So this is just an illustration of how we are entangled. And how do we need to rise above this entanglement is by engaging in devotional service and chanting the holy name, and rising above three modes of material nature and break free. Right, Mataji? Hope this clarifies your point.
Yes, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, even demigods they are also entangled in the material.
Yes, Mataji.
world?
That is what we learned. Even the topmost demigods, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, are also under the influence of this material world. Only the Supreme Lord, Krishna, is above. So for us to break free from this material world, who can give that benediction? Who is not entangled, right? So that is why we have to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So can we imagine it this way, that the tip of the tree now, which is at the very bottom, is nothing but like Lord? No.
In the spiritual world, that way you can
Okay,
see.
yes. Yeah,
in the
yeah, in the
inverted
spiritual
thing,
world.
the tip of the tree is the darkest region of hell.
Darkest region. Oh, okay. Sure, Prabhuji. So the inverted tree is all about the material world, and the normal tree is all about the spiritual world, and the tip of the tree is Lord. Yes, Prabhuji, it's much clearer now. I was so confused, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. That is why it is called as perverted reflection of the spiritual tree. Right. So any other questions, any other realizations? And one thing I wish to thank you all your generous contribution has helped us in such a way that by the mercy of Namanista Prabhu, he has made me a coordinator of all the languages. Like what we did in one small group, now we have identified such 90 different groups where actively teachers are taking class, and through teachers and coordinators we are going to expand this. So that way, a small initiative what we took, just to in some or the other way to relieve some anxiety of our spiritual master, in some or the other way to help our spiritual master, has expanded like this, and it is going very good. So without your generous contribution, without you all joining hands, it would not have become such a grand success. So thank you very much. I'm deeply indebted. One is we are helping. The other side, the way I look at always is, it is our opportunity to purify ourselves. the Rama Setu, we see the Vanara Senya. Whenever we say, we remember about Rama Setu, right? Rama is the supreme personality of Godhead. For him, it doesn't even take a second to kill Ravana and bring back Sita. But why this Rama Setu was built, Supreme Lord has given the opportunity for his devotees to serve the Supreme Lord. So that way, these are our opportunity to serve our spiritual master and Shri Shri Radha Govinda. So all your generous contribution has absolutely helped a lot. Thank you very much. Yeah. So with this, we'll come to end of our session today. Vancha kalpatarobhasya cha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. I wish to hear a loud Hare Krishna, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.